Hello everyone and welcome back to another session of Elden Ring PvP. Today we are doing something special, and that is celebrating patch 1.06. With this patch, well, there's been a lot of changes, a lot of good changes. Bloodhound Step has been nerfed, Quick Step has been buffed, Stars of Ruin has been nerfed, and a number of weapons were actually mentioned by the patch, or in the patch, by name, or by skill that is unique to said weapon. And I figured that it would be fun to take a look at those specific weapons that were mentioned, because every single one of them is a weapon that I've used at this point in time. So, with those weapons, we have Cypherpata, Glintstone Dart was changed on the Glintstone Chris, so we have to take a look at that. Corpse Piler on Rivers of Blood has been changed. We will need to look at that as well. There was apparently a bug with Lucerne, so it is now slightly better. I'm excited to see the difference there. But overall, we're going to take a look at the specific weapons that were mentioned in the patch notes, and I'll do a brief overview of the more generic changes towards the end of the video. If you guys are interested in this video, please do leave a like, stick around to the end, comment, let me know what you all think about this patch and how excited you are all for it, and let's go ahead and start off with the Cypherpata. Hello there. I'll be honest, I'm not sure how valuable the larger hitbox on the punch is. Good fight. So the change on this one with its punch, I'm going to say it's kind of negligible. I don't think it is a game changer for this weapon. Still a great weapon. Really, really fun to use. Would recommend to a friend, but not a game changer. Let's move to the next weapon. Taking a look at the next weapon that was called out in the patch notes, the Glintstone Chris, specifically the Glintstone Dart. Apparently has had its range increased. But with that, it's also less likely to stagger. Now, for the Glintstone Dart, that didn't mean anything because, as it was, the dart itself wouldn't stagger. It's still quite powerful. And that range... Jeez. I honestly don't think the range increase on this one was necessary, but what's interesting is that the dart actually... The dart actually travels farther than the follow-up thrust. Having those desynced from each other, I don't think is to the benefit of this weapon. So, I would say that actually is negligible at best and detrimental at worst. So... it's a change. That's all I've got on this one. They did specifically call out the Glintstone Pebble Ash of War. It does seem as though Glintstone Pebble as a skill for a default on weapons has been changed as well. It now has quite a long reach as well. Bit of tracking on it too, which is nice. But it does not, unfortunately, have a good range on the forward thrust. Same as Glintstone Dart. It's a bit lackluster in that regard. So, it kind of just is what it is. Come on, let me hit you. Bet that really wasn't the plan, was it? Now, I'm sorry, but what happened to my jumping attack right there? Did the game eat my input? Am I crazy? And a roll catch. Took me a little longer to finish him off than I would have liked, to be perfectly honest. I swear I did a jumping attack, but it looks like the game ate my input when I was going for it. Either way. That's Glintstone Pebble's change in a nutshell. Short thrust. The range, kind of insane. The thrust makes it maybe halfway throughout the total range of it, so overall, it was meant to be a nerf for that, and they did the job with it. The extra utility of the longer reach is nice to make up for the fact that it staggers less, and on top of that, should deal less damage. We made it to the next weapon, and this is a big one. So, Rivers of Blood, with the skill Corpse Piler, has been changed. When you hit your opponent with the blood, it will cause less buildup of their bleed meter, and that's great. Can't believe my running attack right there missed. But even still, it is quite a dangerous weapon. So even though the damage and the bleed buildup from the blood part of the attack has been reduced, it will still deal considerable damage, and on top of that, the damage from the sword itself has been reduced as well, but that is all that has been reduced on it. So if you hit your opponent with both the sword and the blood, well, needless to say, they're going to have a bad time. One weapon in the patch that did have a change, which was a bug fix, was Lucerne. So it now has shield piercing, but barely any. Even on a fully charged R2, that's pretty bad. In comparison, the Vulgar Militia Shodel, it's better, to say the least. So, needless to say, this change was one I don't quite understand why they bothered with. I understand making it match the item description, but to be honest with you, other than that, I don't see much of a point to this weapon having shield piercing, honestly. I think a more valuable change for this weapon would have been to make it so that attacks other than its R2s would actually be able to deal counter damage. That would have been really, really nice. Unfortunately, that's not what we got. So, it is what it is. Good roll there. Couldn't have double rolled. Entirely my own fault. But the point remains with this weapon. It's not going to do the greatest job. And that's perfectly fine. There are better halberds, and as much as I may like Lucerne, well, I'll fully admit there are better options, so take from that what you will. Another change was with St. Trina's Sword. This weapon had the wonderful benefit of losing its buff whenever you got hit. So, you wouldn't see people double buffing with it because, well, needless to say, if you bother with that, then it wouldn't really amount to much. Now that said, this guy I'm having a bit of a hard time putting to sleep, so I do see why this weapon is not as common as well. The Ripple Crescent Halberd really does just do a better job of making people take naps. So, it's a change, but is it one that really matters? I don't think it is. Now, aside from everything I've mentioned up till this point, there are a few other more generic changes. So, Great Swords, Curved Great Swords, and Great Hammers had their R2s sped up. Great Axes had their Okay. Great Axes had all of their attacks sped up, except for a small handful. Cool. Very cool indeed. I'll take that. So overall, a lot of changes for a lot of weapons, but nothing specific. They were all generic changes, basically on the greatswords, great hammers, and curved greatswords. The recovery time between when you attack and when you can roll, that has been decreased, and then the swing speed of strong attacks and charged attacks has been increased. Aside from that, though, with great axes, basically everything has been improved as far as swing speed and for the recovery speed of them. So they're actually able to be decent now, which is a very, very good thing and makes me very interested in using them in a showcase in the future. So that is everything that I've got for this video. That is a quick rundown on some of the changes to weapons that were specifically called out, as well as a quick overview of the more generic changes. There is a bit more to it, but that is the quick summary that does a decent job explaining what some of the changes to the weapons specifically are. Of course, there were other things like Bloodhound Step being nerfed, Stars of Ruin being nerfed, but this is a weapon showcase channel, so that's the focus. Either way, I hope you all enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did enjoy this video and you would want to see me do another video of its type for future patches, please do let me know down in the comments. I would appreciate the feedback on that. Either way, thank you again for stopping by, and I'll see you all next time.